I played Ark Survival Evolved with 1 health. This meant that any damage would instantly kill me, and made Ark insanely hard. But I love a challenge, so I decided to see if I can beat Ark with 1 HP. On day 1, I made my character, gathered some bushes, then punched a tree and died. This might make it seem like beating Ark is impossible, but because of a previous challenge, I knew all I needed was to either get a supply drop with tools or passive tame a rideable dino. I went after drops for a bit, but after 1 disappeared and 2 ended with me dying trying to reach them, I switched to looking for a monkey. So I spawned where they lived and found one, but I wasn't high enough level and a terror bird annihilated me. But I knew I could level up pretty quickly, so I tried getting back, but I died to a compy. Then again to a pego stealing from me. Then on my 3rd and 4th attempt, I froze to death, and every time I tried respawning, I died over and over, without even being able to move. But after 12 failed respawns, I didn't freeze to death, and instead spawned right next to a skeletal raptor. But even after all these deaths, the redwoods were still destroying me. First a terror bird, then a raptor, then just water that's too cold, then a terror bird again. So I gave up on the redwoods, and after falling off a cliff, I got my very first drop, but it was useless. Until when trying to get another drop, I nearly froze to death, so I salvaged the structures to build hide gloves. They kept me from dying to the cold. But when I went in the water, the cold came back, and I just made it out. So I tried going around, but wolves killed me. The rest of the day, I just kept trying to either get drops or find something to passive tame. But it didn't go too well, as I died 9 times, 4 of them in the desert, including dehydrating to death, something that would be persistently challenging. A few deaths to creatures killing me, 2 fall damage, and the one that made me rage quit as I traveled super far to the right side of the map, only to learn it's unreachable floating islands. When I came back the next day, I punched a parasaur and learned I do survive 1 punch on creatures, just not trees. I tried the redwoods again, but it was cold, and I died another 16 times trying to respawn. And even the area south of it was too cold. But then I spawned closer to the desert and found a supply drop, and after crafting a bunch of hats for levels, I opened it. But all it had were useless blueprints, and I died to stupid compies. I went back to the redwoods, and after a couple deaths, I found a monkey and started taming it, until a stupid microraptor killed me. After 2 more deaths in the redwoods, I spawned south and headed north, spawning a titanosaur falling from the sky. But just as I was closing in on the monkey, terror birds came after me, so I tried luring them to a diplo, but they kept coming. I ran to the giganto and tamed it, but they still killed me. I wasn't sure if the monkey would beat the terror birds, so I rushed back, but kept dying to fall damage, and once to dehydration. But as I was on my way to the monkey, I found a horse, the perfect alternative to the monkey, and since I didn't know if the monkey was alive, I started taming her. But then a stupid dilo attacked me, and I had to start over, but I continued. It got hit again, but nothing happened, and eventually I tamed Eva the Equius. I rode Eva to the monkey, and when I got there, it was alive, but before I could help, it died. I wanted revenge, but knew me and Eva would both die, so I went to a safer area and started progressing, until a stupid microraptor killed me on my horse. After dying to a thief bird, I got near my stuff, but then the terror bird that killed my monkey killed Eva, and then its partner killed me, but I didn't do all that work to lose it all. So after dying to the cold, I got my stuff back and started building a house. Then annoying bugs jumped me and I rage quit. But after cooling off for 24 hours, I came back and tried getting my stuff, but failed a couple of times. And when I finally did get it back, a terror bird trapped me in my base and I dehydrated to death. Then I kinda went on a failure spree, first with a tree, then failing to tame a monkey, getting killed by a terror bird, getting my stuff back but dying to the degenerate chicken again. Then it really spiraled, with a saber, 2 rage deaths, a fall death, and stupid bugs. But then I got back to my base, but of course a stupid microraptor killed me. But finally, after another bug death and tree hug, I got my stuff back, and left the dangerous area for a much more peaceful area, a whole 100 feet around the hill. And I was finally ready to build an epic base and kill dodos and listros for hide. I got dehydrated and nearly died, and because of this my leg was broken, and the only way to fix it is to die. So that's exactly what I did. But I had a bed, so it's not a big deal. But then it happened another 2 times. Then after some solid grinding, I decided to tame a pteranodon, which went really well. But I was bored, so I went for a drop. But there were piranhas and I got abused by a flying scoundrel. But I got my stuff back and the pteranodon. And after a dehydration, I started taming a frog I saw near the drop, because the pteranodon saddle was hard to make. The frog went down in the water, which is fine, but when trying to feed it, the mini sharks got me. I came back, got my stuff, and gave the frog meat. And just as it tamed, another piranha ate me. I couldn't respawn at my bed, so I spawned randomly, but kept dying to boredom and a raptor. But my bed was back, and while naming my frog, an RG killed me. The bed was unavailable, so I died to a therizino, but got back on track and built extra beds, so that when I dehydrated again, it was fine. Then I tried getting my revenge for Eva and my monkey, but got killed. I respawned in the ceiling, so I punched my walls to death. But my frog killed the bird, and though revenge wasn't done, it was a good start. Then I accidentally ate raw meat and instantly died, but it wasn't a big deal. So I saddled Benjamin, and after leveling him out for a bit, I logged out without rage quitting for the first time. On day 4, I wanted to tame some crystal wyverns, so I'd finally have a powerful beast for traveling around the map. I found a level 20 and tried knocking it out with Benjamin and my crossbow, so that I would be able to get primal crystal, which is better than regular crystal for taming. But that didn't work out so well, and Benjamin nearly died. So I gave up and started taming 2 female level 90 wyverns with regular crystal. It was going pretty well, till I fell off and died. I respawned at my base, but had no way to get back, so I respawned closer and ran to it. I continued taming the dragons, and one kidnapped me, but I somehow didn't fall off and tame Valerie. Then got Trisha as well. I started leveling them and even killed killed the direwolf ghost. Then after a bunch more grinding and leveling, I spawned some paint in and colored my dinos so they look super cool. The 5th day, I continued leveling and I made black armor, hoping it might let me take some hits. Then I went looking for a Spino, and in my search, I found and killed the largest group of turtles ever, and I killed the wyvern that almost killed Benjamin the previous day. After a while, I finally found a level 145 Spino, and after some quick preparations and murdering a super strong skeletal Sego, I was ready. I started shooting the Spino from the back of my wyvern, but it kept moving around since it couldn't get to me. So I went to a cliff, but she maneuvered around and nearly killed me, so I continued shooting off Trisha. But now I was lower to the ground, and it seemed to work much better, and when she did move, I simply followed. Then, after a bunch of misses and hits and my crossbow breaking, I finally knocked her out. But when jumping off Trisha, I fell to my death. I flew back on Valerie and put food in the Spino, but got killed by a Titan bow. Luckily, the Spino didn't get damaged and everything ended great, and Spike the Spino was tamed. After getting some silica pearls, I made Spike's saddle and went out leveling, until I died of heat stroke, then again, and a third time. I couldn't respawn at any of my beds, and so I respawned super far away. And when I finally got to my base, I still died of heat stroke, then again, then a raptor. But then the heat wave passed and I continued rampaging with Spike, my favorite dino. I even killed a skeletal Bronto. 2 days later, I got back on and went leveling and artifact hunting, which is when I learned that Crystal Isle's artifacts are unprotected and super easy, which was very disappointing as I really wanted the challenge. So I decided to fight the Titanosaur that had been near my base for days, but it was crazy strong and I gave up. Then I went looking for a male wyvern so I could breed my wyverns, but it was only finding and killing low-level ones, until I came across a 140, and though it was another female, I tamed Karina anyways. I continued purging low levels, but still no high-level males were spawning. I came back the next day with renewed determination to find the perfect wyvern, but I found another female, but it was a 145, so I tamed Tristan. I continued searching, now using Tristan for purging and leveling. Then I finally found a 130 male and started taming him, but on the second feeding I got shoved around and I fell to my death. But I quickly recovered and purged low-level wyverns to pass the time. Then, after riding on his back for a while, I tamed Erebus and started leveling him, but then a trike somehow killed me. After dealing with it, I set out on a mission to breed my wyverns, which went pretty well, but while making AC units, a heat wave arrived and I couldn't respawn without dying. But after killing a bunch of time and getting killed a bunch, it passed, and I was back at it. I made the ACs and hatched the baby wyverns, but I wanted full imprinting so they'd be as strong as possible. So I spawned an extra hair for the nanny, a structure that auto imprints, but I also needed honey to power it. So after breeding and hatching another set of wyverns, I traveled towards the bee cave, but got burned to death. And after another heat stroke, I got my stuff back and went around the warm, death-causing air. The bee cave had tons of bees, obviously, but also bears. I started killing bees, and for some reason, biting one bee doesn't anger the rest. So I just went ham gathering honey, until I made the mistake of using the breath attack, as that annoyed all of them. And one of them nearly killed me, so I flew out, but I was greedy and I kept killing them outside, until they ended up killing me. But I flew in on another wyvern and destroyed all the bees. I mean, I completely wiped the hive. But they damaged me, so I did have to die after, so we are kind of even. After hatching a forgotten egg, I set up the nanny and released all the baby wyverns. And after a bunch of grinding, waiting, and messing around, they were grown up. On day 9, I spent 30 minutes killing stuff and leveling up, all while trying to find an Alpha Rex to fight, but I never found one, even after I installed a mod that shows exactly where they are. November 10th was 5 minutes of leveling because my sound was broken. 100 hours later, I spent 20 minutes leveling the dragons, and I renamed them after subscribers, and you should also subscribe. Since there were no Alpha Rexes, I went hunting other Alphas for levels, but on my way to a Carno, I died like an idiot. Then when I got back, I was distracted, and a Sarco nearly ended me, but then a stupid Baryonyx did instead. Luckily, 3rd time's a charm, and I got to the Alpha Carno with no problems and easily whooped her. Then I went after an Alpha Shark, and even though he had quite the posse, I wrecked her too. I also annihilated an Alpha Raptor. Then I tried going after an Alpha Whale, but I froze in the cold, so I built fur armor and was good, until I died again, but then I was back at it. The whale was super easy to beat, barely an inconvenience. Then I started fighting an Alpha Mosa, but it was super deep in the water and annoying to fight, so I took a quick break to make scuba gear. But the Mosa was quite strong, and I ended up using a full heal item to continue fighting, and eventually I killed it. Then I went after the strongest alpha possible, a giant squid, but it picked me and Spike up and was killing Spike much quicker than we were killing it. And Spike was close to death, but right at the end it let go and I ran, thanking wildcard Spike lived. After that catastrophe, I fought an Alpha Blood Crystal Wyvern, which was pretty easy in comparison. I was finally ready to fight the Crystal Wyvern Queen, so I spawned in the necessary items and teleported to the boss arena with all my wyverns, Spike, Benjamin, and Teresa. I went in and started fighting the Queen, but then it shot me and Spike into the air, and once again I made the fatal mistake of jumping off, killing me and all my dinos. But I didn't want it to end stupidly, so the next day I spawned in a level 1500 Spino named Spiky and fought the Queen, and it went much better. I mean, I was doing tons of damage and killing eggs and baby wyverns like crazy. For my first time it was going really good, but because of how well I was doing, I became confident that I was going to win. Then she shot a crazy fireball and it killed me off Spiky, meaning it is possible to beat Ark with 1 HP, just don't do it on Crystal Isles like an idiot.